Hello and welcome everyone to a new Heroes of Might and Magic 3 video. In this one, as you can see, we are making another tier list. If you don't know, many of the secondary skills ended up getting updated recently. By recently I mean in like the past year, and then there's been like some small updates to actually adjust those skills as well. So the balance of the skills is not what it used to be. So I'm going to be making an updated tier list for all of the skills in Heroes of Might and Magic 3 and talking over what makes them good, what makes them bad, and in which situations you should be picking them up. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First up is we have archery. Archery is for A. Archery is like a very big, powerful skill because it gives you like the biggest amount of percentage boost for your hero's power, because like archery gives you 50% damage. You know, if you go offense, you get like 30%, if you go armor, you get 15% value, but archery you get 50%. However, it is quite a bit more niche. You need to have shooters and you need to have them be able to shoot. These are not to be taken for granted. So archery is a situational skill, a good situational skill, which puts it pretty solidly in the A tier. Next up is we have air magics. Air magics is an essential skill in most of the formats because it gives you access to expert fly and expert dimension door. Just for that, it deserves an S tier already. However, it also holds like quite a few other good spells as well. Most notably, Expert Haste in the early game is one of the best spells that you can cast. Unfortunately, many of the one hero formats that at least like I usually play end up banning the skill, the spell, because it is actually like just that good. But nonetheless, it goes into S tier. Next up is we have artillery. So artillery is the first of the skills that ended up receiving a massive buff in the patch that ended up reworking the weaker secondary skills. We can probably put all of the War Machine skills together and talk through them. So the first thing that the War Machine skills ended up getting is the fact that they make the War Machine quite a bit more durable. The way that it was made is that you cannot take more than 40% of the War Machine's total HP with a single hit. So when it comes to like the tent, if you are hitting the tent for like let's say 2000 damage, it will only receive 40 damage if you have first aid. So you always need to use at least like three individual hits in order to kill a War Machine, making them far better and not just like immediately gone at the beginning of the fight if they are relevant. That makes it quite a bit better. Then artillery is a skill that lets you control towers, so in terms of like defending a citadel or castle, it's also really good to give you like speed prio in that kind of way. And it just deals like a very solid amount of damage. And also Ballista only costs like 1500 gold at the beginning of the game. That makes artillery also like a tiny bit better. So yeah, artillery used to be like a bottom skill, just because it didn't used to like do enough. However, right now it is going up a tiny little bit. It is still like way too niche to be picked on the regular. However, it is a nice tempo tool with a nice unique upside of giving you speed priority in defensive castle battles. Yeah, C tier. There we go. Next up is we have Ballistics. Ballistics is a skill that, right now with the new patch, it shoots accurately. That means that if you have expert ballistics and you target the towers, those towers are gonna die. If you target the gate, you can open up the gate consistently on turn 1. And of course, whenever you're gonna be like sieging a town, you're gonna be getting speed priority because you can control it and it moves first. So that makes it a really good skill in any sort of aggro situations. It makes sieging actually easy, which it didn't really used to do. And of course it cannot really be killed either because you need at least 3 big hits in order to kill it. So it actually saw like a really big amount of play in most one hero formats. So it is actually B tier. Might surprise you to see it above artillery. However, it is actually a way more consistently useful skill throughout the games. many games of Duel were won off of Ballistics alone. Then next up is we have First Aid. First Aid ended up getting a buff of granting up to 15% maximum HP to all of your units, yes, including mechanicals and undead, while the First Aid is active. And then if you get a specialist, like a level 20 Ryan, would be able to give you like 30% extra HP on all of your units. This can be combined with demon farming, or it can just, you know, like give you like some value, making the skill actually not useless. That said, it is just kind of like a worse version of armor, and quite a bit worse because you can lose the value of the armor mid-fight, like, imagine. Of course it's better against spells, but that's like not really good enough. So in my opinion, First Aid goes into C tier below Artillery. It has been experimented a lot with and is like a lot more interesting, and you're not really like as sad whenever you're gonna be like forced to play with it. However, it is still not really something that you prefer. Next up is we have Armor. Armor makes you take 15% less damage from any attacks, and is just like a solid staple of the game, and it is always and will always be bottom S tier. Then next up is we have Diplomacy. Now, Diplomacy is like a skill that's like super high, super difficult to rank because Diplomacy's value is based on like the format that you're playing. Some formats make Diplo amazing and basically a necessity, the best skill in the entire game, and some formats have it be absolutely garbage, and it's completely unpickable and unusable. And how do you rate such a skill? I don't really know. I'll try to like find some sort of a middle ground. This is the case for both like 1 hero formats and 8 hero formats. For example, in GC, you don't usually pick Diplomacy almost ever. However, in Mirror Firewalk, you would most of the time want Diplomacy and it would be good. And you know, like in 1 hero formats, you want it for Vietnamese Diplomacy, naturally, and so on. I would put this skill in B tier. It is like way too situational to be any higher than that. However, it has like a lot of potential. But even when this potential is like fulfilled and you're getting to like buy like relevant army, you're still buying it usually at like 50% value. If you were to like just build out the unit production yourself, you would be spending your gold for army at 100% efficiency. So no, actually, sorry. It's still gonna be like low A tier. Being able to like boost your you know, like creature growth by a tremendous amount by just finding them out on the map and joining them is really powerful. And I've lost many games to that. And I feel like it's a skill that I actually personally kind of underutilized, to be honest. Next up is we have an interesting one. We have the Eagle Eye. So Eagle Eye undertook like many changes. So right now, Eagle Eye actually activates at the beginning of the fight, and it steals a bunch of spells. Every spell has a certain percentage chance to be stolen. I believe at like, sorry for that, and you follow. So, Eagle Eye will just steal a bunch of spells at the beginning of the fight that you are going to be able to keep permanently. Of course, not really relevant for 1 hero formats. And also, you will be able to see the opponent's spellbook as well, which is very powerful. Like, sometimes you need to like make a play with like 1 stack remaining, and you're like wondering, oh my god, the opponent might berserk me, and I will not even get to like cast a spell ever again in this fight. However, with Eagle Eye, you know exactly what's going on. You know your opponent's options, and that's very thematic, you know? And not to mention, you can actually score some good spells right before the final fight if you still need them, making it actually like pretty useful sometimes. Pretty useful sometimes is exactly the ranking of a D tier skill. So, you know, Eagle Eye went a long way with quite a few unique changes. It went from literally the bottom to being mildly usable. And honestly, you know, a round of applause for our dear Eagle Eye. From the from like the absolute worst skill to probably still the worst skill, but actually usable. And also very thematic and very interesting. I love the new Eagle Eye. It's still not good. Next up is the Earth Magic. It will now surprise nobody that is going straight to S tier. It is the best of all schools of magic, granting you access to Expert Slow, Expert Resurrection, Expert Down Portal, the most essential skill in the entire Heroes 3, probably, and many other great tools. Pick it in every single skill tree, in every single game. It would be very hard to even find an exception where it's not good. It states as one of the weaker skills in the game. Like quite a few years back, it went from 500 income at Expert to 1000. However, in this recent secondary skill patch, it saw no changes. So it is right now bottom D tier. In one hero format, sometimes you want some secondary heroes with a skill to, you know, like, get a little bit more income, and that's fine. However, it's not really anything, like, too exciting. It's just like, yeah, I mean, you just want your trash heroes to pick up this trash skill to be a little bit less trash. I guess double negatives make a positive. So, next up is we have Expert Fire. So, I mean, yeah, everyone's gonna hate me for this one, but this school of magic does not belong in the S tier along the greatest of all time here. Instead, it has to go somewhere lower. And everybody always like loves, like, oh my god, like I won an impossible fight with Expert Berserk, like it's the best school of magic ever, and it's dear to my heart. And honestly, I feel the same, but I have to be like somewhat objective here. It is bottom A tier. It is very powerful when it's good, however it is too situational to be good on average. And as such, this is the ranking. Next up is we have Intelligence. Intelligence didn't see any changes in this recent patch. It's still 50% extra maximum mana on your hero. And 50% doesn't really usually feel like it makes like that much of a difference. Intelligence basically functions mostly as like in 8 hero formats. This is the skill that you pick up on your support heroes for them to be able to like function a little bit better without needing like, you know, big artifacts in order to have like a lot of mana. So, I don't know. I think Intelligence has really fallen off. And right now it belongs in the bottom C tier. And next up is we have Interference. Interference is a skill that reduces the opponent's power in combat by up to 30% at expert level. It did not see any changes recently, so it is as it was before. And yeah, the value of the skill is like super meta dependent as some of these other skills too. And right now the meta is that it's not really that strong. You see, when people used to be playing like off of elementals, like purely off of power, by stacking a lot of it, then interference used to be like one of the best skills to have. And people would even pick like interference skill starters just to be able to like have it on their skill tree. These days, that's not really the meta. It's just like situational good skill. Much like archery, and however, like less strong because like its full potential is not really like as good. Archery can give you your like 10k damage stack, it can pop it up to like 15k. The upper value of like interference is not really like as much, in my opinion. So it goes into A tier, bottom. Next up is we have Leadership. Leadership, like every single time I miss morale even once in any game, people are like, oh my god, Lexia, you should have picked Leadership. However, I think you are wrong. Leadership is an okay skill. Like, it's a really weird one because I'm like very torn on Leadership. Whenever I like start with Leadership or I'm forced into it, playing with Leadership feels really good, okay? It's just awesome. So like, emotionally, I really am invested in the skill. It's good. However, when I think about it logically, it's like half of a pendant of courage. Like, it's not really that good. You can get this morale in like other ways if you work for it. However, you don't usually work for it. So Leadership is just like an easy way to get there. I would put Leadership in about B tier. taking into account both the good and the bad light that I see it in. I mean, I do like my knights. Next up is we have learning, and learning has been the biggest surprise of all the secondary skills in the past year. It went from 15% extra experience to 75% extra experience, and you get a level up every single time you pick or upgrade this skill. That is an insane boost for learning, like probably the biggest buff that we've seen across the board in the recent patches. It has actually been like so good that it had to be nerfed. This is the only... No, actually I think Eagle Eye saw some nerfs too, actually, which is pretty funny. However, yeah, afterwards, learning was toned down from 75% to 60%. However, it is still an S tier skill. Insane, right? Learning, S tier skill. In non-one hero formats, learning is basically an instant pick on any hero that you are developing, pretty much every single time. In one hero formats, it is a little bit more situational, however when it's good, it's really good. You basically develop your hero like far faster than you otherwise would. You are meeting breakpoints earlier for like the amount of like secondary stats that you need to take some fights, just for getting like some other skills up. It's also like good because, you know, like sometimes you don't have a good level up, you pick learning, and then you can actually pick learning again, and then you can pick learning again, because, you know, you get like an extra level up every single time you pick it up. It enables early libraries, it enables like a lot of cool things. Learning, it feels also really good to play. Like whenever you pick learning and then your treasure chests give you like over 2,000 experience, you go into a learning store or learning... Yeah, you pick up a learning stone, you go into a churchyard. It just feels amazing to be playing learning. I would recommend you pick up this skill in the current Hoda patch like almost every time. Most usually, you will not be disappointed. Next up is we have the good old logistics. From Shadow of Death, it was nerfed from 30% movement to 20% movement. However, boom points in Hero 3 are one of the most overpowered things that you can possibly have, and as such, it is going to be no surprise to anyone that it is solidly in the top of the, yeah, in the top of the food chain. You almost always want it. Well, then again, you don't really want it as much as like the Schools of Magic. In some cases it feels better, however, I believe that logistics is somewhere here. Next up is we have luck. Plus 3 luck at expert level. Now, actually, like, the skill did not really see any changes, however the luck mechanic did see changes, where getting a lucky attack right now will make it so that you actually deal double damage, because like, it used to be something like weird. It used to deal double damage, but it applied the double damage at a weird part of the damage calculation, where usually, pretty much every single time, it didn't actually deal double damage. Right now, it just takes your damage, doubles it, and that's like the lucky attack, making it far more relevant to get lucky. And also, whenever you have like multiple creature attacking abilities, such as the Dreadnought Laser, or like the Dragon Breath attack, or like the Magog AoE shot, whenever you get lucky on the attack to all of the creatures that you are attacking. So, yeah, luck basically got some buffs. It's still not really good. It's just like, you know, like, pretty kind of nice skill that you can have. And I believe that puts it in C tier. Next up is we have Mysticism. Ooh, this one I'm probably going to be getting the most flack for from all the memory lane players and, yeah, all the town portal haters. Mysticism now gives you up to 30% max mana recovery per turn, and it is, wait, I think the minimum is like 15 mana per turn that you're getting from Expert Mysticism, so even if you don't have like any knowledge to pander your max mana, you're still getting quite a bit of value from Mysticism. And whenever you're gonna be like adventuring out without like town portal, it is like almost an essential skill to have. Like, 2 people farming like a memory lane treasury before they get control spells. If one person has mysticism and the other one doesn't, then the person with mysticism will almost certainly win, making it like a very important pick in some formats. However, I still kind of personally hate it. I would never put it anywhere above B tier. So, my opinion, it is bottom B tier as it is right now. Yeah, don't pick it on any 1 hero format except memory lane. On 8 hero formats, it is okay in some situations. I mean, yeah, it's like a pretty situational skill. So, yeah, be mindful with it. Next up is we have expert navigation. This one is pretty hard to rate because whenever we play online, we never see navigation because we never see any water. However, the number values on navigation are very insane. 150% extra sailing moon points is really good whenever you need them, and of course tragic whenever you don't need them. So, I don't know, I'll just check it into B tier. Next up is we have offense. A very, you know, like bread and butter skill of Hero Stream. 30% extra damage on all of your swinging units is pretty amazing. I usually pick it over armor, however, it is still like one of the best skills in the game, just granting you consistent good value, making everything that you do get, like, you know, like way more valuable. You get like 100 gold dragons in your Finalka? Well, with offense, it feels like 130 gold dragons, and that's amazing. So this is something that makes content a lot easier and also gives you better payoff for the content that you do. Awesome. Next up is Necromancy. Necromancy is also like pretty hard to rank because it's a skill that's either there or not there. You're not really like usually picking it, you know? And whenever you get a chance to pick it, you should probably not do that. If your druid finds Sandra with a cloak, telling you to join the dark side and get some necromancy, don't do it. It's not worth it. Like, those 3 skeletons will actually be like more of a hindrance, rather than a boon. However, when it is good on a Vadabana, on an Isra, with a Necro Specialist, when you get some Necro Artifacts, when you get some Necro Amplifiers, and then you're gonna be like getting 60 skeletons per fight and you can just keep stacking them, of course it's amazing. So, much like archery, it is a situational skill, but a good situational skill, putting it into A tier. So, next up is we have Pathfinding. Pathfinding also saw like a massive buff and a really awesome one too. So, the thing that it does is, it makes it so the minimum amount of moves that you have to use in order to step off road is gonna be 85 rather than 100. Effectively making you 15% more efficient in terms of using your movement points off-road. It sounds a lot better than it is, because most of your movement points that you're going to be using are actually going to be on road, because, you know, road is like the best efficiency that you can get and you want to maximize the value from it. And then, also, it doesn't work on a swamp, because Pathfinding applies itself first before anything else, and it also reduces the terrain penalty by up to 75% on any terrain. So if you're walking in the 175% terrain penalty, then it will reduce it by 75, putting it at 100 no matter what. That means that you cannot actually get the 15% extra moon point efficiency on the swamp terrain, making it also like a little bit worse than situational. However, as I said, moon points are overpowered in Heroes 3, so even if it's not the best skill to like get more out, I mean you get that many extra moon points, it's still extra moon points on a secondary skill, making it A tier. Also, like in formats where you actually need to remove the terrain penalty, and that's like really good to do and important, it would go into S tier. Like for example on Jeebus Outcast Community, Pathfinding is like, yeah, low S tier. However, in general, it is low A tier. Next up is we have Resistance. This is a skill that we basically like never see. It's not available in almost any formats. It is like an outdated piece of junk from the Shadow of Death era of Heroes 3. Yeah, I guess like there's Foreground on some formats, which makes Resistance a little bit interesting. But then again, nobody like links an offensive spell towards Foreground anyway. They will just be buffing up and using spells that cannot be resisted anyway, making the skill like super clunky to use. It's like not fun for the person using resistance, not fun for the person like playing against resistance. So it's like an anti-fun skill that's usually like not really good anyway. It's kind of like a little bit of a piece of trash. So I will put it low C tier. It still like has value, has uses, but I don't respect it. Next up is we have Scholar. As you know, I'm mostly like a one-hero enjoyer these days, and so Scholar is like really not relevant to me. The only way times that it is relevant is whenever I get to like trade a banned spell on turn 1 onto like a different main hero. For example, if I get Fafnir in the tavern, he can teach haste onto any hero that I would play. Amazing. Really good, however, way too niche. I will be ranking it with like some 8 hero gameplay in line too. Scholar in 8 hero formats is, you know, like a solid skill. You can cheat out some very essential cool spells, you know, like you can use your Alamar to get Resurrection onto some other heroes, Resurrection that enables Utopias, you know, pulling your game through like quite a bit forward. You can also like just be collecting spells from all the heroes that you're buying and then trade them onto everyone else as well. It has like some uses, but I'm also biased from like one hero formats. I would put it D tier. Next up is we have Scouting! Hey! One of my favorite skills. It lets you see up to 5 hexes, more than you usually could. It is essential for most one hero formats, and not really any good in the 8 hero formats. As a one hero enjoyer, it is a low S tier skill. I want it in pretty much every single game that I play, and it is very amazing whenever I do get it. Awesome. And now we talk about probably the second most interesting skill on the entire tier list right now after learning, and that is Sorcery. So Sorcery ended up getting buffed, and the buff was not really anything unique, the number just went up. Instead of 15% extra spell damage, you are now dealing 30% extra spell damage. So it is as if every hero with Sorcery was turned into like a level 20 Sandra with a Sorcery specialty for free. And that is amazing. Oh my god, Sorcery feels like so overpowered. Your, you know, like your Chain Lightnings, Meteor Showers are dealing like so much more damage. And it also has like really good scalability into the late game because it buffs the Fire Shield that you get from like the Ogre Fist. So it's like a really good late game option in some cases too. So you get like a skill that is making you like super strong and early. It scales into late. It's just like a really solid, good skill to have. One of the best skills available in the game right now. And it actually belongs in S tier. Hey! And yeah, it's really fun to use right now. Awesome. Exactly the kind of change of Sorcery needed. Next up is we have Tactics. Tactics is a pretty boring skill. Whenever it's good, it's like pretty good. You want it on your side heroes in either format so they can do like black towers and such pretty easily. You want to be able to close in the distance on the shooters. You want to be able to protect your own shooters. Then you pick up Tactics, and it's pretty good at what it does. However, it is like far too situational to be good on average in my opinion. As a good situational skill, it goes into A tier alongside the other good situational skills. Like here. Next is Water. So, yeah, there's been like kind of like a meta shift a little bit in Hero Stream, where people really like Water. I feel like we've gotten better in terms of playing Hero Stream. We are able to like get more out of the map, we are flagging more dwellings, we're building out more towns, we're getting like more army, and the more army there is, the better water magics will be. Because, you know, when you expert prayer, you're getting a percentage boost for all of your units, and the more units that you have, the better it is. So most of the time people, whenever they can, they're trying to fit in water magics into their skill tree, because expert prayer just feels that good. Being able to dispel the opponent's spells with expert dispel sometimes is also just like straight up game winning. So water is like a really good skill in most situations. And I would say it is a new... Yeah, it finds a home in the S tier. It's kind of silly that I say this because I'm definitely underutilizing water magics quite a bit, which is unfortunate, but I'm doing my best. I'm getting there. I'm really warming up to it, and I really like it too, and I see people like just straight up winning games off of it. It's also really funny because like the S tier is basically a perfect dual skill tree right now, or Geocom skill tree, you know. This is the kind of skill tree that you want on most of the formats that I play. Well, I mean, makes sense, right? And last up is we have Wisdom. Wisdom is probably the most boring skill in the game. Everybody is guaranteed to be offered Wisdom at least like a few times in a game if the skill is available. If you need it, you can just pick it up. In order to gain access to being able to learn higher tier spells directly onto your spellbook instead of needing to rely on tomes or artifacts to get access to those spells. Sometimes it can be like really good because if you learn the spells naturally, then you're going to be able to open up your miscellaneous artifact slots. Very important when you're going for like an archer build, because archery wants to equip like the elixir, usually obviously, and also bow the sharpshooter, which is another 3 miscellaneous item slots. So by that point you have 4 out of 5 miscellaneous item slots filled by the archery setup. And then you also like want Shaman's Puppet, you also want like some orbs, like in the end of the spell orbs, so you can be buffing up without risking getting everything dispelled. There's like so many items that you want to equip, and the only way to do so is by having Wisdom. So in some cases, Wisdom is like one of the best supplementary skills, and in some cases it's like absolute garbage and doesn't do anything for you. It's like one of the worst good situational skills, putting it solidly in A tier. And there we have it! The skill tree is looking quite a bit different in my opinion from what it used to be. I mean, many things are like still similar enough that, you know, like this is still the game that we recognize, but with quite a few more options and quite a bit more flavor too. We no longer have skills that are like dead garbage F tier. And yeah, it's really beautiful to see. I think that the secondary skill changes were a huge success. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tier list. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. See you next time.